So I noticed your awkward stories, and I thought I'd tell you one of mine. It's a little long to type, so I'm going to do a video, and you can decide what to do with it. But it was funny. So this we had a boxer that was a rescue, and she was a bit. If she got real scared, everything short circuited, and so I was building a deck in the backyard, and in those days I was a framer and really good shape. And so I was building his hot summer and building the deck with just my jeans on and my tool belt, and we were staining the boards before we put them down. And so I would, my wife was staining them in the driveway, and I would go and get the stained boards and bring them into the backyard. And our dog was in the backyard where we were, but the gate would keep her there, and it was all good. Well, we were working, and I don't know, we were almost done actually, I think, and the the we were getting close anyways, and I went to get some more of the stained deck boards, and the dog came out at the same time into the driveway. And just at that very moment, some yahoo went flying down the street, and and he had a real loud car, and it banged and roared, and the dog freaked out and took off running. And we're downtown city, a small lot right in the heart of downtown, and there's a great big freeway, 4-lane highway, 2 lanes each direction, just a block from our house, and the poor dog took off running. I knew she was done. But I loved my crazy dog, and so I took off running after her. I just dropped my tool belt and just in my jeans ran after her. And I kept running into people that said, "Oh yeah, I saw that terrified dog running," and they kept pointing me towards the river, which was downtown, about 14, maybe 10 blocks south of where we were. And so I kept following, and sure enough, she made it across the highway, and somebody on the other side saw her, and they said, "Go, keep going this way," and I kept going, and I finally got to my dog. And there was a bit of a park on the bank of the river, between houses. There's a row of housing, then the bank and cliff, and at the very bottom there's more housing, but there's this park where it runs down the bank of the river, and she got in there, and then she was scared of people, so she just stayed in there and kept running up and down the hill, just down to the bottom, up to the top, back and forth, and I could see her. So I started calling her and working my way down the hill towards her. She couldn't really see who I was, and so she kept avoiding me, just staying a little bit further away from me than I was. And then at the very bottom, a guy come up on a bike, and he heard me calling her and saw what was going on. So he started talking to her from the bottom, and she could hear him. And she knew she didn't know him, but he was saying all the right things, like good dog, good girl. And so she was hiding in the bush, listening to him, not paying any attention to me. And I walked right up to her and picked her up. Well, she'd been running for hours. The pads of her feet were all raw from the pavement and running. And she was so relieved, like she wilted when I got up to her, like, "Oh, I know you, you're good. And she was a boxer. She was about probably 55, 60 pounds, not huge. But I picked her up. I thought, well, I can carry her. I'm big, she's little. But I was tired from running after her for so long, and so I couldn't. I couldn't carry her. I came up the hill and I made it to the top, but that was it. I couldn't carry her any further. So I set her down, and I didn't have a leash. She didn't have a collar. So I took off my belt, my pants belt, and I made a leash out of it. And she hobbled along, and I hobbled along with her, and we're walking down the street. So we get back to the 4-lane highway, and of course the traffic and the noise, and she was getting all nervous and antsy. And so I calmed her down, and I found a crosswalk and pressed the button so that I could cross the 4 lanes of traffic. And it's evening, the sun is setting, probably directly, and everybody that was going west was driving right into the sun, so they couldn't really see very well, but the lights were flashing and she could see what was going on. So we went across the road, or I went and pressed the button so we could cross the road. And she was just so petrified. She could hardly walk, and so I couldn't really just, it was terrifying for her. So I picked her up, and I'm carrying her in my arms, walking across 4 lanes of traffic in downtown Calgary. And as I'm walking along, some idiot at the very back of the line didn't see what was going on until just the last minute, and he panicked and he slammed on his brakes, and he didn't hit anybody, but he came awful close, and there was squealing and all sorts of things. Well, my dog freaked, and I'm just like, I'm barely into crossing the street, and I've got this panicking dog in my arms, and she's kicking and kicking and kicking, and her paws contact my pants and shorts, and it worked. She got 2 good kicks in, and I was pantsed in the middle of 16th Avenue, our freeway in Calgary, standing there with nothing but a panicking dog in my arms, smile on my face, and nothing else. And there was nothing I could do. I had to crowd walk all the way across 4 lanes of traffic to get to the other side so I could set her down and stand on the leash and pull my pants and shorts off. It was long before cell phone cameras, so nobody ever recorded it, but anyways, that's my most awkward story, the day I walked naked across 4 lanes of traffic. I'll talk to you later.